Wow, did you know six women just made space history? I mean, they floated in zero gravity for about 4 minutes or so and then came back down in time for lunch. But hey, let's not worry about the context. That just ruins a good headline, right? Did they go to space? Absolutely. But did they go to space? Yeah. So we're unpacking all the technically true but wildly misleading stuff we fall for and why context is the inconvenient truth killer nobody wants to talk about.
Got it. Yeah, that was crazy stuff on Monday, wasn't it, Bill? Going to space, and I'm never going to diminish anything about the technology that was used to get them there, and it takes a little bit of guts too, right? To crawl inside a rocket ship that, it's got some proven success, but you just never know. So I mean, I'm never going to discredit any of that. However, it does seem as though they're giving themselves and the media is giving them a lot more credible or credibility and success when technically they were just kind of passengers. They didn't really do a lot to make that trip successful. I mean, I've heard people been calling it kind of a glorified roller coaster. They just were passengers strapped on, enjoyed the ride, and got off. So, um, nonetheless, but we see this all the time, don't we? In like other areas of life and things where, like, technically things are true, but when you really kind of dig into context, you realize, like, well, it's maybe not as significant as what it initially appeared in the headline. So, what are some examples you got, Bill?
Well, here's what we're kind of banging today a little bit here. Is the truth really true without
Ooh.
context? So I can brag, I can put on my resume or my curricula vitae, if I had one, that I played piano on stage to an audience at the Grand Ole Opry. That's true. Completely true. Except with the context, I know some of you are saying, where can I buy the album, Bill? But there isn't one because there were only six people. We were all on stage. It was a backstage tour, and I just walked over to the piano, sat down, and played it so that I could say that I had played piano on stage.
Yeah.
Is it true?
Hey, I
Is
got
it
a similar story. I can say I'm a multi-award winning uh, speaker, which would
really?
be true. Those of you that are familiar with Toastmasters, I've competed in a lot of contests and have done fairly well in those. But without context of, well, how far along in the contest advancement did I make it? How many people were there competing? What was the award? It makes it sound very significant. Like, wow, Jamie, you really did good. And I like to consider myself to be a halfway decent speaker. However, when you think award winning, you think of people who have been like on a national stage. So, Toastmasters, those that actually go to the finals and then compete at that final level. That's more significant than me making it through my district and not to the world stage. You also think of other awards that come from people who are very notable in a particular industry. So by just saying I'm a multi-award winning speaker, on the surface sounds very impressive, but when you dig into the context, eh, still an accomplishment, but maybe not as impressive as initially thought by the headline.
Right? I've got another one. I was wildly successful in high school as a running back. I scored two and a half, on average, 2.5 touchdowns a game, 108 points over an 8-game season. That's pretty impressive.
Wow.
Yeah, except it was 6-man intramural in Canada. So,
It's almost like as you start adding the details, you're like less and less impressed.
right? So, technically true, wildly misleading.
Yeah, and so going back to the whole Blue Origin, right? Again, I don't want to take anything away from the technology that was used to get them there. Them having the courage to say, "Yes, I will get on this flight," but you hear the media and even some of the participants on that flight, talking about their success and all this. And but when you start thinking about it, and even comparing it to the original flight by Alan Shepard, I don't know if anybody knows, but the Blue Origin rocket itself is called the New Shepard. So it's kind of like using Alan Shepard's original flight. And even hearing them say, "Yeah, we did the exact same flight that Alan Shepard," like,
No.
no, you went 60 some miles. He went almost 120. He trained for 2 years. You trained for a few days. You landed basically where you took off. He was almost 200 miles away from his launch site. You have proven technology. He was a pioneer. Not quite the same. So when you start drawing the correlations, it's like, eh, it's still impressive what you did, but not as impressive as you're making it sound.
My a thought just came to mind. People get certificates for completing training.
Sure.
So I'm wondering if at the end of their training, those 6 women have a certificate that says class of Saturday at 2:37.
Certificate of completion. You learned how to put on your seatbelt.
Jump jump on and let's go. Now, yeah, we're teasing a little bit. And
Sure.
but in real life, from a biblical standpoint, or I should say a denominational or whatever kind of Christianity standpoint, however, a lot gets bent because of cherry picking.
Sure.
Oh, let's just take one verse and run with it. Judge not, lest ye be judged. Matthew 7:1. People love to quote that. Oh, you're judging, but read 2 lines later, and Jesus says, "Don't throw your pearls to pigs."
You're
So,
right. Or the root of all evil is money. Well, that's not exactly what it says. It says money leads, or money is
root of all evil.
the
Thank
root of all kinds of evil.
the root of all kinds of evil. Thank you. I knew we'd get there
Yeah.
sooner or later, and people use
So
it, and people use it to say, "Well, I'm poor because that
yeah,
I'm more
like
spiritual."
you're not supposed to have money because it's the root of
Right.
no, it's what can lead to evil depending upon your view of the money.
So what we're doing is we're framing facts.
Yeah.
It's like a headline. It's a hook. It's going to grab you, and you want to read it. But then when you start to read it, you go,
What about this? What about this one, Bill? Jesus hung out with sinners.
"He did."
He did. And
But
the implication there, or the assumption is that he was doing the same thing the sinners were doing, which is not true.
not true. He was there more to call them out
Yeah.
than to hang with them, and he didn't live his lifestyle. So here's another one. The average millionaire has 7 streams of income. Absolutely, but most of them came after they were millionaires, and then they expanded and you know
Yeah.
created other streams of income. They didn't try starting 7 streams of income. Maybe 1 or 2 did. I don't know. I don't know. So
So so we know this, right? We know that uh people don't necessarily flat out lie about either their accomplishments or what they're trying to sell to you, but they do leave out facts that would let you understand what's really happening, or it gives you more of the story. So, I guess on both sides of that, like if you're on the receiving end of somebody that's coming to you and it sounds really impressive what they've accomplished, what can we do to like, but did you really? So
really,
what can we do to kind of protect ourselves from
really,
that? But if you're on the giving side and you're the one that's like you're selling something, or you're trying to share accomplishments, how can we do that without embellishing it um, to the degree where maybe it's not as impressive or even as truthful as maybe it initially sounds?
yeah. I mean, I understand. Context matters a ton in real life.
Hmm?
Headlines twist the truth. Sound bites are dangerous. We see that a lot in politics. We don't want to go there, but that happens
Yeah.
on a daily basis. A person can speak.
Social media is terrible about it.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I went to the gym yesterday. I'm feeling really good about it. I was on the
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, yeah, I go all the time. The last time I went was to cancel my membership.
yeah.
Before,
I walked 5 miles yesterday.
really,
Yeah. My dog's name is 5 miles.
probably walk
So
five.
yeah, it's easy, right? It's easy to mislead by not providing context.
I agree, absolutely. So, I mean, misleading truth. I mean, Satan even tried to use the Bible in
Mhm.
misleading Jesus.
Right?
Talk about delusions of grandeur. Satan wants to mislead Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean,
Son of God.
demigod. So, yeah, the Pharisees accused Jesus of breaking the Sabbath. Technically true, but missed the whole context of who he is and what he was doing.
Mhm.
Just missed it completely. Uh, I mean, it can just go on and on. Truth can stand up to scrutiny, but only when you're not hiding behind selective sound bites. And
Right.
oh man, we are deluged with sound bites. Social media is the birth, not the birthplace, but it is the flourishing jungle of quick, easy sound bites. And but that
Well, I mean, even think about our own podcast, right? Like as we put these together, we come up with some sort of a hook to get people's attention. I believe that we're not being misleading in that hook, but sometimes that hook doesn't give you all the context, partially because you don't have time for it, but partially it's kind of almost designed that way to get somebody going, "Ooh, I want to listen to that,"
it
or "Ooh, I want to read that article," or whatever it is. And then when you really start digging into it, it's like, oh, not that impressive, or not as impressive as it seemed on the surface.
right. I mean, I mean that's what selling is to some degree. There's got to be a hook. You listen to all the online selling gurus. Uh, every one of them talks about a really good hook. They're not talking about a misleading hook. They're just talking about something that gets your. That's what a hook is. It gets your attention and makes you
Attention.
say, "I want to hear more about that."
Yeah.
When I'm scanning headlines, I'm always looking for what's the news with the Broncos. What's the news with the Broncos? Because I'm a diehard, got the mug, Broncos fan.
Got
That's
the
got the
got the
mug,
mug and everything.
been there, got the T-shirt, been there, done that. I follow the Broncos. That's the team I like to follow, just like you in Ohio State.
Yep.
But I will see these headlines that say Broncos yada 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 in a blockbuster trade, and I'm going, okay, let's see what that is. And and it's all just in this mock draft. Here's what they're doing.
Yeah.
In this
With their third string punter.
this is what they could do if they did this. Wouldn't that be interesting? And I'm going, you know,
Yeah.
the headline is misleading some of the time, and if you really read the headline and go, yeah, okay, I get that, but not really.
I think
So
one thing that can be done, I think, especially if you're on the giving end, okay, so yeah, I need to get somebody's attention. I want them to be interested in reading more, listening more, whatever that might be. And I think there's two things that can be done. One is be very clear about the significance of the claim and provide the context. But I think the other thing that can be done, and what I wish some of the participants of the Blue Origin would have done, would be like, let's talk about some of those that went before us to allow me to do what I actually just did. So, like the Alan Shepard talking about the significance of him, his first flight. He was the first American in space, second human being ever to be in space. Like, call out that significance. Talk about Sally Ride, the first American woman in space, and all the training and all the missions that she was on that enabled you to do what you did. So I think that's another thing that can be done. Like if you're making some claims that might sound a little bit impressive to get somebody's attention, fine, but be really sure to clear that up and then give credit to where credit's due to say, I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for da 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 da.
right, right. So I'm gonna give real quick four things. Okay,
Good.
how to think more clearly. Okay. If you want to avoid being fooled by half truths, start with these 4 questions. Ready? Okay, good.
Go. I am ready. Yes,
Yes,
go.
got it. Okay. 1, what's the source? Where are we hearing
Okay.
this from? Okay. Are we hearing about world politics from TMZ? Yeah. Okay. So what's the source? Second, what's the full story? Don't listen to the soundbite. Find, listen to the whole speech and see the whole speech in context, not the soundbite. If you see a verse of scripture, great. It's true, but get the context. What's the full story? Third thing, what's being left out? What are you not telling me? It's like, yeah, I played the piano at the Grand Ole Opry on stage to an audience. What's being left out? Well, everything else that puts it in context, really.
Yeah.
By the way, I can play the piano, but no one's going to ask me to play it at the Grand Ole Opry. As a matter of fact, I broke from the group to do that. Just saying. So, what's the source? What's the full story? What's being left out? And finally, who benefits from me believing this? And
Yeah.
that's probably a big one. Who's going to benefit from me believing this? Oh, I opened the link. I'm going to watch. I'm going to listen to or watch the whatever. But who benefits from me believing this story? So there's
Yeah.
the 4 questions you can ask yourself. So
Those are good.
don't just ask the questions of the headlines. Ask them of yourself, because we all love to tell stories.
Sure.
And let's face it, I'm getting old, and the older I get, the better I was.
Yes.
Yes.
Sometimes.
Yeah,
Maybe.
had to think about it. No, the story just gets better with age. I really was. Yeah. So
Yeah.
ask it of yourself as well.
Yeah, I love those. I think those are good if you're on the receiving end. Those are good if you're on the giving end. And if you've liked anything that we've had to say today, make sure you like, share, comment to us. We'd love to hear from you.
Is it true?
Absolutely.
But
But is it the full truth?
is it the whole truth? Absolutely. But that is Jamie French.
Hey, that right there would be a Bill McConnell.
Okay. Believe us. We wouldn't lie to you. Just saying.